What's going on, guys? Welcome back. More NFL commentary. I know I said when I started this in a week or 10 days I would give you an idea of whether I continue to do it, and I know I've continued to do it without officially saying I'm going to continue to do it, but that's because, my heart's not really still made up on it. And this is going to be one of those videos that really pushes me either to or away from continuing to make content like this, because this is going to be a controversial video. I want to talk about what Russell Wilson said after the Seahawks game this weekend, and I'm going to quote it with the beginning of his statement. God is too good all the time, man. And let me first say, I have zero problem with a person proclaiming faith. Whatever you use to develop your spirit is of your own free will. And you're the expert on that faith and what it can do for you. No one else is. To that point, I don't want this to become a religious debate. Although I'm sure the comments are going to make it about that. I want it to be about accepting the presence of a higher being in a sporting event. Having said that, most of you know, I come from the most religious sport on earth, auto racing. Before any either NASCAR or ARCA race, I'm asked, I say that because I'm not required, to stand on pit lane, pay homage to our country with the singing of our national anthem, and a pre-race invocation. And while I understand and I respect the fact that a lot of people don't think auto racing is a sport where drivers and crew members aren't athletes, at the very least, it is, man versus physics. It's the constant test of man and machine versus inertia. And to me, that embodies the determination of what this country stands for. Having played football, though, I can unequivocally tell you, unlike motorsports, you don't have the forgiving hit of a human being on the other side. I say that in meaning that I never hit someone in football with the full intent to kill them. I don't think anyone that ever put on a football helmet intentionally hit a person with the full intention and desire to kill another human being. I just don't believe it. In motorsports, we don't have that distinction. We hit inanimate objects. So to me, while you can determine whether or not a driver or crew member is an athlete, you can't dispute that it has the most lethal consequences in all of sports. Which brings me to my point, because the invocations don't ask, generally speaking, for anything other than the safety of those involved in the race, drivers and crews, and those in attendance. Sometimes they can slip in, a good event, whatever the case is going to be, but it doesn't particularly talk about one team or one individual. In fact, most of the private prayer groups only ask that you go out and perform at your best. And the fact of the matter is, if my best happens to be better than your best, then I ultimately shaped the outcome of that event and not God. So when Wilson continued to say, quote, that's God setting it up to make it so dramatic, so rewarding, so special, end quote, I don't agree with that. I mean, first off, I don't believe that God would have an opinion about a sporting event. I don't believe he would care about a sporting event. I don't care if D.D. Lewis said that Texas Stadium has a hole in the roof so God can watch his favorite team play. Let's not forget, in that very same stadium, with that very same team, this time last year, its fan base was throwing popcorn at Navarro Bowman after he tore his ACL. And Navarro Bowman has still not returned from that injury. So was that God setting it up last year? Is that what God wanted to have happen? Did he want the Packers to feel like they were determined to win this game for the first 56 minutes? That the end result of this game had nothing to do with coaching or playing decisions, a tight end that couldn't catch an onside kick that literally went directly toward his head. That was just God, with his flair for the dramatic, rewarding one team by defeating another because he didn't want that other team to prevail. It's insinuating that it's okay for God to care about the Seattle Seahawks to be great, but not, say, a cure for diseases. And I want to be clear, I'm not ridiculing him for his belief, but rather the concept that a higher power would care about the result of the game and distinctly craft it in such a way. I think that you're presented adversities in life, and how you respond to those is what that person, your creator, cares about. I appreciate the fact that he's public in his thankfulness to play the game. I'm humbled by that. I appreciate that he gives credit to his creator and that he realizes he's fortunate to have experienced obstacles and created goals and triumphed to get to this point. I do that myself, but I don't go as far to say as the successes I have come at the intentional failures of another person. I think that we're all cared for and watched over equally and privately to plan to work to succeed in our own expectations. So I'd love to know what you guys think about this. I appreciate you checking it out. I'll be back in the week with more content.